there. Thank you for taking a moment to watch this video, and on this specific training, we're going to continue our Salesforce integration, configuration, and setup. And more specifically, we're going to continue talking about the LeadStream concept, or the shared pool of calling concept, while also being integrated with Salesforce. So hopefully you've watched all of the other videos where we talked about why you might want to care about this. We talked about how you can export existing data from Salesforce and import it into PhoneBurner. We also talked about how you can start to get real-time data flowing over into PhoneBurner. Of course, that's going to depend on really how you're generating leads and all of those processes, but very simple to do using a tool called Zapier. But now let's talk about actually dialing through the data, right? So now we've got the data in here, whether it's contacts or leads, we've been feeding the data into our PhoneBurner account. I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to make it clear here. Right now you have to choose one or the other. Are you going to be calling leads or contacts? We've got to know which object we're going to be focused on when making these calls. And in my specific training, I've been focused on the contacts object, so that's what I'm going to stick with right now. So I've got my account configured so that I can initiate my dial sessions from the PhoneBurner UI, but those activities will log back to Salesforce. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Begin Dial Session. All right, so now I'm dialing, and I'm dialing one of the leads that is in my pool. And of course, if there are other people on my team dialing through this list, they're going to be calling different people from the pool. You'll also notice that Donnie Demo is the first record that was called. The LeadStream system will always focus on the leads or contacts that have never been called yet. So the newest, freshest stuff will always be at the top. Anything we don't connect with, those contacts can and most likely would be recycled depending on your LeadStream settings. Again, that's going to depend on how you configure your LeadStream. And so I'd highly recommend that you go through the blind poll LeadStream training that we already have in place for that. Or you can work with our team to help you configure your account for success. So let's go ahead and disposition Donnie Demo as set appointment. Let's say he connected and we talked to him. So now we're on to our next call, in this case, Johnny Tester. I'm going to go ahead and end that call. And let's move this window off the screen here. Let's go to Donnie Demo and we're going to refresh. Because I want to show you that this activity logged back into Salesforce, or at least it should have logged back into Salesforce. And there it is. Call with PhoneBurner, set an appointment. Now you may have noticed that the information that I'm seeing on the screen here is not the iframe that we typically see from Salesforce with a Salesforce integrated customer. And you have two options when you initiate a dial session from the PhoneBurner UI. You can choose to use the PhoneBurner UI for this. And we're totally okay with that if that's what you would prefer. There are some teams that that's what they want. They really just want to have the basic information fed over to PhoneBurner so that the team that's doing these dials only sees the specific information that they've fed over to PhoneBurner. But again, there are other people that are like, you know what, I've got all this information in Salesforce and I would prefer that my team actually see the full record, that iframe from Salesforce, and then also have a quick link to that record in Salesforce. So let me show you what that would look like. I'm going to go ahead and end this dial session. Let's refresh our contact lead stream. You'll see that it's got fewer leads in it now because we made some calls. And I'm going to go ahead and begin a new dial session. And now you'll notice that it's pulling the iframe over from Salesforce. I'm going to go ahead and mark this one as live answer and end. And the nice thing about this is an iframe. So all of the details can be visible in here just like they would be if we had initiated that dial session from Salesforce. I can click to edit that record in Salesforce, which would take me to the full details. You guessed it, in Salesforce, right? So the dial session window would behave very similar to what we experience using PhoneBurner directly from the Salesforce environment. I'm going to go ahead and disposition this guy as interested. Again, I'm going to show you that the activities would log back to Salesforce. Let's go ahead and refresh this page here. Who was it? Alan Scott is who I just called, right? At least I think that's who I called. Yep, there he is. Call with phone burner interested. Now, of course, you may have different pools of data that you and your team are working through. But of course, if you're using the real-time data, let's go ahead and submit this one more time. So if somebody fills out that form while I'm in a dial session, so as you can see here, that dial session was off the screen, but I was not out of the dial session. So assuming somebody just filled out that form online, if I'm calling Sally Sample and Sally doesn't answer, so I click no answer or leave voicemail and I'm moving on to my next call, as soon as that record gets created in Phone Burner, it is going to be the next contact called. That's all going to depend on how quickly you have that data flowing into Phone Burner. So let's go back over here. Let's go back to our list of contacts. Gary Closer's here, which means he should be in Phone Burner now. Let's check and make sure he's got a Phone Burner record ID, which he does. If we go over to our contacts, make sure he's in our contacts folder. There he is. He's been created. So now let's go ahead and let's mark Rachel Sample as not yet interested. And there's Gary Closer. Again, it's going to depend on how quickly that record can be created in Salesforce and then created in Phone Burner. But we're talking seconds from when a contact could be created and called if your team is in there powering through their calls while the contacts are filling out forms online. So anyway, that's a quick little overview of how you and your team can start powering through your calls and taking advantage of LeadStream so that you can reduce the time between when somebody fills out a form or makes a request and your team is on the phone trying to connect with them. So as you can see, LeadStream is an amazing tool that can help you and your team get more done in less time using the power of Phone Burner. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video, and happy dialing.